Hello, and welcome to the Looking Place podcast, where we seek to guide our listeners through a journey to discovering your intrinsic power. I'm T.
And I'm Mel. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. So,
Yeah.
we're here.
We're here. It's just phenomenal just to be here.
Yes, it
and
is.
to share this journey
Yes.
together.
Yes.
And we're starting off, and we're really excited for you guys to be here as well, because we're sharing our journeys of how we actually got to be where we are. So why don't you start?
Okay. Well, in a nutshell, I have always identified a spiritual side of my life, a spiritual existence.
Mm-hmm.
And I say always because even as a child, I've been able to reflect back on circumstance, thought processes, emotional states of being, experiences. And I do observe and discover that I've always, I think, when we say intrinsic power, I think I've always had somewhat of an awareness without being able to have a full comprehension. Yeah. And that's by design, because it is a part of the journey of discovering, right? So I didn't come out of the womb as like, yes, I know the secret to mankind.
Right. Yeah.
And why we're here. Right. And let me share it with you all. It's definitely been a journey. But again, I say I identify that the journey has probably been since I can have an identity of self. And now that I am here presently, I am in this place where I've discovered this very beautiful connection to God that is non-conditional.
Okay.
And very effortless. And it's just by the grace of God that I've discovered this existence, this state of being where, again, it's not predicated on anything that I'm necessarily going through in my human existence. And I don't want to say too many words about it because, and obviously we're here to say words, but I don't want to put too many words toward it because it's really something that I find the closer I get to God, I have more difficulty explaining it. It's like I had all the words when I was very early and excited and the things that I was discovering, and it was very intentional. And early on, you'll hear me reference a lot of information from spiritual leaders such as Eckhart Tolle, Muji, Abraham Hicks. These are people that, that's just to name a few. There are others. But these are people that I started listening to when I became very intentional in my journey. And so I was so excited, and I had all the words and I had all the information, and I was sharing everything. And I just, and the closer and closer I've gotten to the true nature of who I am, the less I can put it into words. It's becoming more difficult to put it into words.
Now, when you say the true nature of who you are, what do you mean by that? Because our listeners might not know.
So for me, and I can only speak toward my discovery, the true nature of who I am is, it is simply the God within me. Now, I use the word God. Some people will say source. Some people will say universe. It's just language. So I will reference it as the God in me. The God nature in me that is not confined within anything I can identify in the physical world. So when I say identify, if you ask me, who are you, T? I'd probably say something along the lines of, I'm a mother of two sons. I'm a physical therapist. I am assistant. I am a believer of God. I am a Black woman. I am an American. And so these identifiers, these are things that help us, make categorizations, sometimes even past judgments is often what we find ourselves doing. But when I say I've discovered the nature of who I am, I've been able to find that place that transcends anything in the physical manifest world.
Okay.
And for me, that is simply just existing in that space of awareness that anything I can observe myself doing, feeling, thinking, any interactions, those are not who I am. Those are just manifestations of who I am.
Got it.
But there's something non-tangible, what I've come to understand as being the no thing that encompasses all things. It is the source. And so I've been able to identify how to abide in that source energy and just let life do life. And that's worked for me.
Okay, good. You want to share about who you are in this physical world? Like, I know you said you're a mother.
So in the physical world, obviously I'm a Black woman. I am a mother of two amazing human beings, two sons. I by trade am a physical therapist assistant. I enjoy that very much. And Yeah, I don't know. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm an auntie.
Right.
I'm
Okay.
all of those wonderful things.
It's wonderful. Wonderful. And where are you from originally?
Originally, I was born in New Jersey.
Okay.
Parents left when I was young. My dad joined the military to, try to establish a better life for us.
Mhm.
Didn't do a whole lot of traveling, but a little bit of traveling. So I say I was kind of raised in Virginia because that's where I kind of spent most of my adolescent years.
Okay.
But been here in Georgia since '99.
Well, wonderful. Wonderful. Well, great.
And
I'll
what
share.
about you,
Yeah,
Mel?
I'll share a little bit about Mel. So I was actually born in Georgia.
Okay.
I was born at Fort Gordon, Georgia, and then after that we lived different places. And my father retired at Fort Gordon. He always said he was going to retire at Fort Gordon, so we ended back there. And I always say I am a Georgia peach. I love Georgia.
Okay.
And so I'm one of 7 kids. Yeah, both of my parents have transitioned, and I am married. I've been married since 19.
Okay.
So we're coming up on 35 years in July. And we've raised 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. We also have a godson who we consider a son. He's married, and he and his wife have a little baby boy who's just a darling. And so that's our grandson, first grandson. And I'm a physical therapist as well. I've been practicing physical therapy since '86. I took off about 7 years to raise kids, that sort of thing, and kind of slowly got back into it. It's been a great career. I'm heading out of it. I've done it for decades.
Been doing it for
And yeah,
I'm all kind of new, so I'm
yeah,
still in it.
you're still in it. Yes, I need somebody to pass that torch. Go with
I'll
it.
take the
Yeah,
baton.
yeah. So it's been great. It's been great. I also coach. I teach people energy. I do empowerment coaching, and I've been doing energy coaching maybe about 5 years.
Okay.
Done a lot of courses and studying on energy, emotions, empowerment, all of that. Love it. So that's the area that I'm branching into now. And just in terms of my spiritual journey, it's been an interesting journey.
Okay.
I have been a Christian as long as I can remember.
Okay.
And I think I just started kind of branching out a little bit into more spirituality, is what we kind of call it, where I just started thinking, what if God is not in a box?
Okay.
What if? I had all these questions, and I've had these questions since I was young.
Right.
Nobody could answer a lot of my questions. So, but it just kind of started coming to me. I was reading things as well, but it just started coming to me, and I just started learning more and more and more. Once I started learning more, I started to recognize that we all are just these amazing human beings. And really that there's no place where you stop and I begin. Like, we're really all one at the source level. That started to help me to see things differently and to see people differently. Because I kind of grew up, I hate to say it, but just very judgmental.
Speak on it.
Yeah, just very, if you weren't in my church, if you didn't look at the Bible the way I looked at it, you were not going to go where I was going. And so I just started to learn to love people instead of judge people. And I remember I started doing a lot of personal professional development work because it was so funny. My son, who's 28 now, he basically said to me one day, I was saying, what is the rule for this in the household? And I was scorning him about something. And he looked at me, he said, Mom, I don't know. We have so many rules. We can't keep up with them. And that's when I felt like, Houston, we got a problem. And so I started my whole personal professional development journey. And then it just started growing, and I started to feel freer, just much freer. But also I kind of still had that fear of what if you do this and you lose your soul? And it was just that kind of stuff. So I'm in a much better place. I'm a lot freer, and I'm less judgmental, like so much less judgmental. And it's a journey. I don't know that you ever become judgment free, like 100%, just mere fact that you like this, I like that. We have some judgments about it. And I think what I truly believe too is I don't want to make judging necessarily wrong as I'm thinking about that, because if you like apples and I like oranges and I want to convince you about why you should just like oranges and not apples, like, no, don't do that. There's a judgment that's there. Right. So let you just like apples and I like oranges, and it's all good. Right. Do you understand what I'm saying?
But then if using that analogy, we can come to the understanding, hey, we both like fruit. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
We both like healthy fruit.
Exactly.
Right. That's kind of what it's about.
Right? Yeah. Because I think I spent most of my life trying to convince somebody to come over to this side. Right. Because this side was right. Right. And my husband likes to say he has had 2 times in his life where he felt totally right, 100% right. Okay. And both times he's been proven wrong. So
was he big enough to admit that he was?
Oh yeah, okay, he said it. He said it. Yeah, those were his words. Like there have been 2 times where I thought. Yeah. So anyway, it's just a newfound freedom. It is. I think that I'm experiencing, and it's helped me in my relationship with Maurice, my husband, and also with the children. Yeah, it was a lot of judgment there. So that's where I've been. Yeah.
I know for me, I said earlier, I can identify going back to childhood where I've kind of had a knowing beyond the concept of a knowing. But the way it manifested in my early years, it felt like a lot of self-judgment and condemnation, because I never quite felt like, I don't want to say not like I belong, but I just always felt kind of out of place amongst the people and the experiences I was having. It just kind of felt like something was off, or I was doing something wrong, or just by virtue of my existence, it just felt uncomfortable for me by and large. And I think what that was at this more mature place now, I think I recognize that there was a wrestling with the knowing source side and the very human side that was being conditioned, because let's be real, we are being conditioned from the moment we come out of our mother's womb. There's a conditioning that's taking place based on where you are in the world, your culture, your ethnic group, whatever your, by and large, whatever your parents' lifestyles are, becomes the source of your conditioning. Right. And that's not inherently wrong or right, but it is what it is. And so I think by virtue of how the conditioning, and when I say conditioning, I'm not saying it in a judgmental, wrong way. I have wonderful parents that I still am blessed to have with me. But in that just natural conditioning, I think I always felt a pulling. There always felt like there was a pulling, like if you can envision tug of war. It was always a tug of war, so to speak, going on internally. I could just never feel comfortable with who I was and how I was in this world that I was existing in. And I say all that to say, now that I have discovered this way of existing, liberty is all I can call it. It's just such a freedom. It's such a freedom to be who I am and to truly let those others be. Like we say, live and let live. We say that, but we don't live that a lot of the time. Right. Yes. And I feel like discovered and tapped in the true ability to live and be so joyous in my experience and my existence, and truly let live. And I have now the most wonderful interactions with people, because I just literally look at every person and every opportunity as a way to just connect to source. Even if that person's not on that page, it's fine. I don't need you to be all spiritual in order for us to vibe in.
Exactly.
I'm cool with it. We don't have to think the same, be the same. Matter of fact, that's more fun. Right. Because sometimes boring doesn't get to only interact with people who think the same, believe like the same. We just yesing each other to death.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, that's cool. But also, I like to keep a little spice in the interaction where let's do a little sparring in a non-judgmental way. I believe conflict can be something beautiful. That doesn't have to be inherently negative. But yeah, let's vibe on something that we may not see eye to eye. Right. I wasn't always able to do that. And so, now that I've kind of, like I said, I've aligned with this source energy within me, it is a freedom beyond words. I use the word freedom because it's the only word I can come up with, but it's just such it's just such a peaceful way of existing. And it's not a peace where it's like, I'm peaceful right now because my conditions are peaceful. It's just a peace.
It's just a peace. Yeah. And it's good that you share that, because we're still going to have life happening.
Absolutely.
And life happening to us. And,
I want to say too, somebody might need to hear, when you're in this place of trying to discover where you are in your spiritual gifts existence, whether you're doing it within a religion or not, no right or wrong there, it is not at all uncommon to feel like all hell is breaking loose in that moment. Woo! You are not doing anything wrong.
Yes.
Because what's happening is our ego mind wants to stay in control, because that's what it's used to. We're used to living in existence.
Living in control, we think.
Where the ego mind is in control. And whether we recognize it or not, that's what's happening. And so when you're in that space where you're bringing true awareness for that source energy, God, again, whatever language you use, but when you're intentionally bringing awareness toward that, the ego mind is like, no, you're trying to push me aside.
Trying to push me aside.
So it's not uncommon. Our friend. Hi, Garvey. Garvey wants to be on camera.
This is my new friend. I don't know if you guys can see Garvey. And Garvey loves me. Garvey loves me. He comes over here when his mom isn't here, and he gives me much love. Don't you, Garvey?
All right, sweetie, go get in the bed. Go get in your bed now. Come on. Bed.
Tell them what kind of dog Garvey is.
He is a beautiful Rottweiler.
Yes. And how old is he?
He is 6. You're 6 this month. Yeah. Garvey just turned 6.
He just turned 6.
He just turned 6 this month.
Just so lovable.
All right, sweetie.
That's how we should be. Just lovable.
Unconditional. We'll talk about that. The nature of a dog. Or animals in general.
Yes.
Yeah. But okay. So what I was saying is somebody needs to understand and hear when you're in the space, Garvey, go get in your bed now, sweetie. Bed now. Bed now. When you're in that space of bringing true intentional awareness toward that source energy, it is going to feel like all hell is breaking loose. And I'll just say that was my experience. And it's like, oh, well, I'm doing all the things now. What's good?
Right.
Let it be. It's a part of the journey. Stay in the grace of God. Stay in the awareness. That is a natural progression. And in this place of enlightenment, if that's what we're calling it, awakening, it's not a life that's free of problems. And that's not even what we want.
Because life is life, and we're going to have issues in life. Things, it's just a way of being that we develop that I feel will help you to navigate a certain way.
Right.
Because really circumstances are going to happen.
Yeah. And I heard very recently, one of the spiritual teachers that I listened to stated so eloquently, and I may not do it as much justice, but sometimes the mind needs to create a problem in order to experience the transcending. And that is in and of itself spirituality.
So what people who may not know what you mean, explain that another way so they get it.
The way I came to understand it and what resonated in my spirit is that there are times where, well, let's just say it like this. There is never a problem that can exist in and of itself without a person there to identify it as a problem.
As a problem. So, and it's usually something based on the past. You wouldn't have known it was a problem had not experienced those emotions.
You have experiences, you have memories, you have all these thought processes and emotions, and you combine all of those things, those factors, those manifestations, and then the person creates a problem out of it.
Yes.
Whether it's valid or not. Right. Whether it's in your control or not, the person still has to identify this as a problem.
Right.
Whether it's illness in your body, issue in your relationship, issue at work, no matter what it is, financial issues, I have no money in my account. We're still having to identify it as a problem. It can't exist in and of itself.
Right.
So that being said, I came to understand recently, and this is more geared specifically toward those people who, such as ourselves, have kind of tapped into this energy and we're still going through life.
Right. Yeah.
There are situations now that I can go through where I can identify this is a problem because my mind just needs something, a little something to gnaw on. And then I can have the experience of acknowledging and bringing awareness to it. And then I can have the experience of transcending what I believe to have been the issue. Now that's my very mature, enlightened way of addressing that now. Back in the day, it was not so much. Was not that so much. We got a problem. We need to address it. If you're my problem, I'm going to need you. And so it's just a shifting of perspective now. The conditions are no longer dictating where I am.
Right.
And I can understand now, and I still do identify with problems at times, but I'm okay with it.
Right.
I don't pass judgment on myself.
Exactly.
I don't get angry with myself. I don't curse myself. Oh, you should be doing this better. No. Okay. I'm identifying there's a problem. Let's go and work through it.
Right.
This will be fun.
Yeah. That is wonderful.
And again, I'm not, making light of anybody's perceived struggles, especially when you're dealing things that are well beyond your control, like sickness in the body or the loss of a loved one. But never, ever, ever discard, discredit, or make light of those type of perceived problems and struggling. But again, it is only a problem when there's a person there to identify it. And that's what I've come to understand. And that's been a tremendous factor in me finding this level of freedom.
That's awesome. And I do want to say as well that we are not therapists. We're not doctors or physicians, and we don't diagnose and treat. And so with that being said, we're just giving information out.
We're licensed physical therapists by trade,
right?
Psychological therapists.
Yes. So we're just giving information out. If you have depression or anything, there are people you can talk to, and we want that for you.
Please do.
And however you take this information, you take it, you use it however you need to. We just want to clarify that that's not who we are. Okay.
Right.
So,
and there's no one way to do this, and I think that's ultimately what we both endeavor to share with people, is that whether you're practicing a religion or whether you're just in your spiritual existence outside of religion, there's no wrong way. There's no one right way. There's no one size fits all.
Exactly.
This is your very unique journey.
This is your journey.
And so whether you are connecting to God through your religion, that's beautiful. If that's what's connecting you, or whether you're finding connection, outside of religion, you're not getting it wrong. You're not doing it wrong. Because ultimately that's what it's about. It's about connecting to source. If that's what you came to this lifetime for, if it's about connecting to source for you, you're not getting it wrong by any virtue of how you're doing it.
Right.
Be on your journey and give yourself grace.
And give yourself grace. And that's one of the things we want to do with this podcast, is just provide just alternative ways that you can connect with source, with the divine, with God, however you term it. And because that's what we've learned. We found some very different ways, and it's just been, like T said, it hasn't been all peaches and cream. However, when you arrive in a place where you feel very peaceful. So within the last month, I've probably had maybe 2 people. It's been, in the past more, to just say, you're just very peaceful. Yesterday it happened. And there was an issue where something happened on the job. Long story short, I said, well, I don't mind working with that person. And the supervisor looked, she said, because you're very peaceful. I said, well, thank you. And I wanted to say, but it wasn't the time and place. I haven't always been peaceful. Okay. So I just kind of learned, and I'm still learning.
But that's your testimony to yourself.
You're still learning. So,
because there was definitely a time in my life where peaceful was not an adjective anybody would use to describe me.
Yes.
A lot of things, but not peaceful. And not to say I was like a bad person. I still regard myself as having been a good person.
Yeah.
But it was just a different manifestation of who I was.
Right.
And like I said, a lot of that identifying with certain things kind of navigated the way I presented myself to people, the way I handled situations and experiences in my life. And now I've kind of been able to put all that down, I think, and it just feels natural.
Feels natural. That's good. And even with you saying you weren't a bad person, that shows back then you had a judgment about what a good person
looks like.
Yes. Yeah. And it was something we were taught and conditioned to believe. And So now we can take those labels off of people, because, living in this world, if we live by the old way we were thinking, we would say good and bad. But now people are just doing their journey. And people are going to do their journey, and we can still have love for them.
Absolutely. And we should. That's what we are. We are love.
We are love. Exactly.
I think what's what I identify, or not identify with, but what I've come to feel in my spirit, I do feel like there's a shift happening. We've talked about that. I think there's a shift happening across mankind, across the human species, where we are collectively, a lot of us are coming into our true nature, whether we know how to put words to that or how we identify with it. I think that, kind of your point that you made is that there was a time where you couldn't talk like this, but now we have more liberty to express this, because I think there's an energetic shift that is truly happening. That is beyond, it's just beyond any conditioning that the world has shown us.
And before, I wouldn't even use that word, energetic, those words, energetic shift. Like, what are you talking about? So even that freedom to even say that. And I totally agree. People are coming or presenting themselves in ways, and I'm shocked. Sometimes I'm like, what? You feel what? Especially people I've known for years, and I know that they were a certain way. And now all of a sudden they're talking a different language, which represents freedom. And something is happening.
And again, going back to the fact that we're all on our own journey, give yourself freedom to change and evolve. We change our clothes. We got a million options on Netflix and Hulu and all the streaming options. Got a million options. But we don't give ourselves options to just be who we are.
Just be who we are.
Give yourself space and grace to say, okay, when I was 20, I did that and thought like that, but now I'm 40. Hopefully you have expanded and changed in some way. Hopefully you have evolved, and that's a beautiful thing.
That's a beautiful thing. And I think just when you do that, when you start to accept yourself for who you are, people around you start to change.
Oh my God, that's so
and it's not with you coming to say or convince them. It just happens. And it has to do with the your energy. Your energy. And we'll talk a lot about energy later. I don't want to get so much into it. However, when you change your energy, it's almost like other people's energy just starts to change. And you'll notice that. That's why if we could just spread love, guess what? Let's use you and me. Let's say you're not loving, I'm loving, and I start to show you love. Well, that ultimately gives you permission to be loving. You start behaving a certain way. We'll have this domino effect. Then somebody sitting next to you, they'll start to feel love, and you're giving them permission to love. We can really transform the world. We really can. And I just totally believe that. That if we function in our pure nature, or true nature, pure nature of just love, like we're just love. We've just been accosted by life. Different things in life have happened. It's like we're walking with a suitcase full of stuff that we're just taking along with us in the journey. At any point, we're free to let go of that luggage, those suitcases. We're free to let go of it. But a lot of times we choose to hang on to it.
Absolutely.
And then one of the reasons we choose to hang on to it is because it kind of gives us like this, let's say somebody who's an addict, they're used to using, or let's say an alcoholic, they're used to drinking because they're used to that feeling that they get when they drink. So they just keep doing what? Drinking. That's how it is a lot of times with us in life. Whether we believe it or realize it or not, we're used to certain things happening because it gives us a little surge in our nervous system. And so what do? We keep doing it. Well, if I keep doing this, I get that same feeling. Some of us are just addicted to stress. I've been there. Just
strictly addicted to stress and struggle.
Yes. I have been there so many times. And I mean, it was most of my life. And so, but once we learn to, and it's a learning experience. It's not something that I magically woke up. It took something.
Or sometimes an unlearning experience.
Yes, we have to unlearn. And it's not something that I just woke up and it was done. Okay. I learned some things that, I didn't realize I was carrying these suitcases. I didn't realize this. And once you realize things and you become aware of them, your life can start to change. It can start to transform is the word I like to use. So,
and that beautiful, beautiful word that you just said, awareness, that has been the most powerful. If there is a practice to be had for me, sitting in the awareness has been so powerful, because it allowed me to access that non-judgmental observation.
So when you say awareness, just share with people
there's really no other word I could use to describe it, but other than to say, so let's use an example. If back in the day I were to have a set of circumstances or an event that was upsetting to me, I'd just be focused on the event that upset me, and then I would throw in memories of other things that relate to that event, and I just, and it would just be a
create all these emotions,
and I would just be in that, and till whatever the situation was passed, and then it'll be on to something else that would. And so now if I have a situation that's upsetting to me, I can literally almost take, and it's not that I don't want to make it seem like I have like split personality, but it's almost as though I can step outside of myself and then just almost see what's happening in almost a very objective way. So I'm no longer subjective. This hurts. This pissing me off. It's very objective. Okay, there's some anger there. There's some frustration there. Well, why is that? And it's not that I'm trying to Jedi mind trick myself out of it. It's not that I'm not passing judgment on it. I'm not. Wonderful timing. Excellent timing. Yes. Thank you.
Life happens.
Thank you.
We didn't plan on this. Life happens. And guess what? We're okay with it.
We're so okay with it.
We hope you're okay with it.
I am so blessed to have a service that comes and fills my waste.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, sir. But that being said, just taking the opportunity to sit in a place of seeing what's happening in my emotional state, in my mental state, understanding, and I don't want to jump around too much, but I've come to the understanding you can exist without your mind. Your mind cannot exist without you. So in that discovering for me, it was able to give me the opportunity to be in awareness, to be in that state of observation where I'm not trying to change my thought. I'm not passing judgment on my perception or the situation in and of itself. I'm just aware of it.
You're just aware of it.
And then in that space of awareness, and this has taken me coming to this over and over and over again. I'm not just sitting in this place all the time constantly. I am still a human being, human, and then the being. And so when I'm in that place where I'm kind of oscillating between being in my ego humanness and then being in the place of source awareness, it's given me the ability to just take a step back and say, okay, I see there's an emotion there. And that emotion, I can almost use it as my information.
Okay.
I can use that emotion and say, okay, you're frustrated now. Use that as the, well, why are you frustrated? And what are you identifying to be the, and then now as it happens, it's very often now, if I have a problem I'm identifying with, and I do all the time. Just yesterday, I was on the phone with T-Mobile, so annoyed. And then I had to take a moment and say, well, why are you so annoyed? What you so annoyed about? Like, for real. Like, be honest. What's pissing you off right now? And just like that, with the awareness. Now I can do that. It took a little bit longer before, but now I'm in a place where I can almost just kind of bring myself right back.
Okay.
And the situation doesn't have to change, but I can now understand and shift my perspective toward the awareness in and of itself, which almost naturally just pushes away the negativity, the negative self-talk, the condition of it.
Okay.
That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Very good. And we'll talk more about that in the future as well, because that's a whole podcast and talking about that. Yeah. But once you learn that, it's just very life-changing. Yeah. Very life-changing. Yeah. So, well, wonderful. Well, this has been great.
Yes, we have so many things to talk about and share with you guys. And we hope to build a community of people who are like-minded in a sense, but not necessarily so much like-minded that we can't learn from one another. So again, we want it to be known that this is a space that is, you don't have to be any one religion, any one school of thought, no particular. We literally want to cultivate a space where any and everyone can come and you don't feel like you're compromising anything that you identify with, because this is just about love. This is about expressing and receiving love and helping, again, guide others toward their intrinsic power. This is a power we all have.
Yes,
we all have it. Every last one of us.
Yes.
And if we can just tap into that power individually in our own unique experiences and then share that, that to me is the beauty of being a human in this world.
Yes. So we're spreading love. All right.
All right. Well, this has been great. And so we look forward to connecting with you all. And if you have any experiences, thoughts, anything that you want to share with us or connect with us on, we definitely welcome that. And we look forward to that.
Yes. All right. Sending love and peace.
Love and light.
All right.
Take care.